Hello and welcome back to Critical Rocket. Today I'm going to be doing my first ever PC review for Titanfall. Relatively new game. I know it's been out for about a month, but I felt this was a title I really wanted to pick as my first sort of video review for my blog, which I'll link to in the description as well. That'll have a bit of a summary for this. I picked Titanfall because it kind of combines two things that I enjoy about gaming. One of them is first-person shooters. I'm a very big fan of the genre. I've been playing them for well over a decade, probably 2 decades thinking about it. But I also like mechs. Battletech is probably my favourite mech-based game, which is why I play a hell of a lot of MechWarrior Online. But I do like the mechs in Titanfall. Obviously, you could probably refer to them more as combat armour than strictly as a kind of battle mech, but they look pretty cool, and it's an interesting mix for this genre, which has gone relatively stale over the last few years, with people obviously wondering what can really be done to the first-person genre to make it sort of re-energise. And I think Respawn have made a good first attempt. This is, as I said, it's an interesting mix of two different types of genres, combining that run-and-gun twitch shooting of games like Call of Duty, and then dropping in the sort of mech combat elements of games like Hawken, which, when combined, makes for some pretty interesting situations. I imagine this is the kind of game that some clans will get some really good competitive leagues out of. But it's not all perfect. Yeah, Titanfall is a game that is certainly lacking in content, unfortunately. I wouldn't really count this as being a $60 title, or over here in the UK a £40 title. It just hasn't got the content to back that up. What it has is good, it's just not really enough to justify. You'll see pretty much everything the game has to offer within a couple of days. And as a quick recommendation before the end of the review, I would only pick this up if you are the most hardcore, I don't know, Western Zampella fans from the old Call of Duty days, or if you just really like what you're seeing here on the screen. If you really think that this is the game for you, then go for it. I would recommend picking it up at a lower price though. I wouldn't get it from any major stores. I got this digitally from g2a.com for about £26, which I felt was a fair price compared. I'm running this on Origin, obviously being it's the PC version. But that aside, what do you get for your money? Well, you get a multiplayer only game. There is no campaign, at least no single player campaign. What it dubs as the campaign is more like an extended tutorial with a basic and a sort of advanced tutorial, basically. The way it's set up is that in the far-flung future of humanity, there seems to be some kind of war brewing between colonists and those who, I guess, are the Empire of Humanity. It's not really explained very well. The good guys are the militia, and the bad guys are the IMC. The IMC seem to be beholden to this robotics company, who are the ones that coincidentally build the Titans that everyone's fighting, and whereas the militia are sort of a ragtag group of colonists who, for one reason or another, are trying to fight them. As per usual, the militia are all the gung-ho, Stars and Stripes American voice actors, and the bad guys are English and, bizarrely, randomly, South African. I'm not saying it's random as in it's a bad thing. South African accents are perfectly fine in games, and I wish we could hear more varied accents from around the world in games these days. I just mean, it's odd that they would just pair those two. No French, no German, no Italian, no... Yeah, it's a nitpick. But basically, when you first play the game, you'll do your basic controls tutorial, and then you'll get dropped into campaign. Now, the campaign has two parts. The first part you play as the militia, and you won't actually play against bots. You will play with other people on your team, and you will fight against other players, and the other players will be the IMC. And that's it. Basically, you will play, I think it's 9 maps, if I remember correctly. And those 9 maps are fun, and they run through 2 game types, which is Attrition, which is what you're seeing here, and Conquest. And there's a loose story based around them, but regardless of who wins or loses, the story is always the same. If one team decided not to capture any points or get any kills, if the map said that the IMC won, then the IMC won. It's a bit of a shame. I would have loved to have seen this with branching paths. It would actually give you something to fight for. It would make that sort of, that struggle, that sort of like, come on, we're so close, that you would, you know, actually be trying to play better to see how your faction would change events. But sadly, it's not the case. It's just cookie cutter. And it's a real shame because they've poured a lot of time and effort into the campaign, primarily on voice acting, a lot of dialogue, scripted sequences on some of the maps that you have no impact on. There'll be things like, there'll be spaceships exploding, there'll be things crashing, there'll be people sacrificing themselves, and it means nothing to you as the player because you don't have any connection to these characters, no matter how well voiced they are. It's just sort of like, whatever, because you're obviously trying to just level up and get XP and unlock new equipment, and this grand space opera that's going on around you, you don't have any part in, so why should you care? The end result is a hot mess with the campaign. It's basically, as I said, it's just a tutorial. Once you completed the militias levels, you unlock one of the 3 Titans. You always start with one, the Atlas, which is your dog's body type. It's jack of all trades. Then when you complete the militia, you unlock the Strider, which is your light, fast-moving version. And then you have to play the IMC perspective, which gives you slightly different intro cutscenes, and you get to hear dialogue from the other side's perspective, if you're that interested in it. And when you complete that, you unlock the 3rd and final Titan, which is the Ogre. So that the campaign is a bit disappointing. It's a shame because it also ends up being the most bloated part of the game. 40+ gig install on PC, and a majority of that is audio files, and it's audio files that you won't really listen to. You'll see this on this video, you'll see the little video with the woman talking to me about what's going on in the map, but 9 times out of 10 you don't even hear them because you're so focused on everything that's going on because it's so fast that you won't have time to process what's being said to you. And you can see they've animated them, and it's nice, it's kind of cool. It could have just been done in a better way. But after the campaign is complete on both sides, you're pretty much left out in the cold with multiplayer. Multiplayer as a whole comes in your bog standard formats. You've got deathmatch, you've got capture the flag, and you've got conquest modes. Nothing too new for today's shooters. The differences come out in Last Titan Standing, where both teams are all in Titans, and it's basically 1 life each time, and you have to destroy the other 6 Titans to win. And then you have Attrition, which is what this mode is, and Attrition is a bit more like a sort of battlefield type experience, in the sense that you have the other players running around. It's 6 on 6, which sounds like a small number, but then you have the AI. The AI will drop in squads. There's generally about 4 or 5 squads on each team that will move around, and they'll engage each other in combat, and they'll shoot at the players, but it's very rare that you'll ever see them actually killing the other players. But they're useful. They're not just window dressing, they're not there to make the scene look impressive. They actually have an effect on attrition. Every one of them you kill adds a point, and you have to get the bar, which you can see in the bottom left here on the screen, full for your team. Once it's full, you win. When you win, you then have to hunt down the enemy team and stop them from escaping in the epilogue section of every match, where the losing team can escape to their dropship and they get XP for escaping, whereas the winning team can kill them and they can try and blow up the dropship. If you escape, it's pretty cool because it's sort of like you get to put up that middle finger to the other team and go like, fuck you guys, I got away, even if you did win. But yeah, the AI are really cool because they're handled by a cloud computing service that's held on a different server, And this creates loads of little unique situations where you'll see the AI will be engaging each other. There'll like be a knife fight. You'll see them in little sort of tussles, or dragging a friendly over to a location and making sure he's okay. Or you'll hear loads of little dialogue based on what's happening. If they see you and your Titan, they'll have a morale boost. They'll they'll shout encouragement to you, or they'll talk about their current situation. If some of them have been killed, they'll talk about their squad being wiped out. And the explanation for it is that you as a Titan pilot are supposed to be the epitome of a soldier in the future. You're incredibly fast, you're incredibly intelligent, you have superhuman-like reflexes and this ability to sort of wall run and double jump, and you pilot the Titans because of your skill in combat. And they're just supposed to be your regular grunts, so I guess that's how they explain the fact that the AI is pretty naff. I mean, you can stand in front of them and they'll miss you most of the time. They may hit you once or twice by emptying an entire clip. But yeah, it's a nice part. It makes the maps feel a bit more alive, even if it is full of robots. But yeah, outside of attrition and the other modes, I personally think attrition is the best mode. You're not really going to get much out of that. Other elements, you've got burn cards, which are an interesting aspect of gameplay, where you get to pick 3 and they give you one-use bonuses. Things like extra XP, faster movement, powered-up weapons, but you only have them for that life. Once you die, that card's gone and you have to use another one. They're not monetized in any way. You get them after every match, so it's not like you have to worry about losing them. They're random. Doing well will... completing challenges that give XP, or some of them will give you new burn cards, unlocking new tiers of burn cards for you to use. But what do I like about it? Or what does it remind me of? You know what it reminds me of? Brink. This entire sort of infantry movement thing, and even the story sort of reminds me of Brink. In that, strangely enough, you had a South African guy who was the leader of the sort of authority group, and the other group were sort of similar colours as well. The militia in Brink were sort of a rusty red and sort of green colour, similar to the militia in this, and the IMC in this are sort of blue, more sort of kind of police state kind of authoritative colours, and that's what they were in Brink. It's a strange parallel, strange coincidence, and yeah, this game has a lot of those kind of elements. You have the rundown world and the maps, and the sort of parkour and the different class skills. But I suppose, you know, there's nothing wrong with them being influenced by it. I just think if you play Brink, this will seem kind of similar to you. Even the way the story works, and the fact you can play the story with other people. Although in that case, the victor actually did dictate what happened in the next map. Whereas in this game, as I said, it's already a fixed point in time. It doesn't matter what you do, it's always the same. The main part, though, the shooting, is fine. It's brilliant. If you've played Call of Duty in the last few years, it'll be like sort of settling back in to stepping into a comfortable pair of shoes. It's that same kind of fast-paced, Twitch-based shooting that you're gonna really love. If, however, you've been a player of games like Armour or Battlefield 3 and 4 more recently, this game may seem incredibly fast. It was for me, because I play a lot of... I have been playing a lot of Battlefield 4, and it took me a couple of rounds to get used to how fast this is, but basically once you get used to the principle of always being on the move, the game does grow on you. The Titans are fun, the infantry combat's fun, and it's nice that they have this dynamic of the cat and mouse gameplay of the infantry pilot trying to avoid the Titan when he hasn't got a Titan himself. It creates these situations where you have the ability to hide on top of buildings and inside buildings, and obviously they have the advantage that they could just instantly kill you with some of their weapons because they're so powerful. You have your own way. You have your anti-Titan weapons, which are ranged from things like rocket launchers to mine launchers, that kind of thing. And a good player can easily beat a Titan just through positioning and being able to quickly move from point to point, and just keeping that Titan pilot guessing where you're going to come from next. And that's probably where the game is at its best, when you've got two players who are trying to guess and counter each other's moves. And you know, pilots, if they get in the right position, they can jump onto an enemy Titan, and then they can pull this. They can pull like a control panel apart, and then they can fire into it and destroy the Titan. But you can jump on a friendly Titan and aid him by firing on enemy Titans with your weapons, or being there to stop enemy pilots from jumping on your friendly Titan. It's one of those nice little touches. What don't I like about the game though? Well, the matchmaking is terrible. In the campaign, new players are stuck with the militia campaign until they complete the 9 maps. But that means the IMC team is made up of people who have already completed the campaign. So they're already high level, which by default means they already have access to things like burn cards, other Titans, better loadouts. Whereas for me, when I first started playing, level 1 or 2, I had all the starting weapons and equipment, and I was ineffective. I was on the losing team for virtually every round. I think we won maybe 2 or 3 rounds of attrition, the rest of them was just a roll. We just got squashed. So the matchmaking needs some serious retooling. Cheats are a common complaint. I can't own up to say that I've seen any, but I'm not going to say that people are lying about this. Especially when Respawn have already iterated that yes, they are aware of the cheats, and they are planning on fixing it, and introducing means to stop the cheats from ruining the game, any more than it may have already been ruined for some people. Other stuff I don't like, there's not really a huge variety in weapons. The Titans have a relatively small number of weapon variants, the infantry have a small collection of weapons. It really could have been expanded on, especially in today's sort of gaming first-person world, where you do have a hell of a lot of choice in other games for weaponry. This game does feel a bit short. They're creative with the weapons, it's just not the most varied mix. Yeah, I think it's a slim package overall. That's probably its biggest complaint. For the price they ask, it's a very, very slim package that you get for your money. Even with the upcoming DLC, it's still not going to feel quite like you were getting the money that the money's worth that you thought you were going to get. But it is a very good starting point for no doubt a Titanfall 2 that'll be on its way. Graphically, as you can see from the video, it's really nice. It's very pretty. The maps are all very, very, very visually distinct. These are just 2 of the maps, so there are several. The one on space stations, there are ones on sort of abandoned colonies, there are ones on sort of outback worlds with giant creature skeletons that you fight around in. There's lots of variety in the maps, and there are map packs coming out that will further expand on this. The voice acting is brilliant. I can't fault them on that. The amount of dialogue that they've got and how well acted it is not a bad thing by any stretch. It's just a shame you don't hear most of it. It's, as I said, the shooting mechanics work fine. The gameplay is really good. It's just a slim package. If you don't mind that, you're going to enjoy this. But I would recommend picking this up if you can cheaper. There's still loads of people playing, and there probably no doubt will be lots of people playing this for quite a while to come. Especially with the lack of any other big sort of multiplayer shooter on the way out anytime soon. But overall, I'd give this game a 7 out of 10. I think once it's had the patches and they've improved the matchmaking and they've improved the sort of number of cheats by coming up with some kind of anti-cheat software similar to VAC or other systems, this could be a huge step up, and I would be tempted to take this to an 8, because its core systems work well, and I've got no complaints. It's not crashed on me. It's not locked up. I haven't had any issues with Origin's service. The servers have all been perfectly fine for me. So technically it runs fine. Visually it looks great. The actual shooting mechanics and the graphics are really nice. Yeah, it's just a pity. It's got those few minor issues. But yeah, I hope this has been informative. If you have been sort of on the fence of buying this, maybe this can help. If not, please comment. Again, thanks for watching. I'll see you around on the next, hopefully my next video review. I'm not quite sure what that's going to be, but I guess we'll see what the future holds. Yeah, I should do it, shouldn't I? Yeah. Yeah. Go on, get him. Get him. There comes the dropship. Ooh, nuclear reactor going up. Just camping. Yeah, I'll just use my new pistol here. Headshots aplenty. Oh yeah. Here we go. Nope. I got away. Son of a bitch. Go get him. Yay! Down he goes. The new pistol. Oh, not about to go.